what's up everyone? So in this video I'm going to give you an update for the high budget COC, and this is only going to be for the Ice Speed. I'm not updating the Ice Nova. If you want to play the Ice Nova, then you can use this as a reference also, because the only difference is really just on the medium cluster jewels, and of course scaling the attack speed in correspondence to your cooldown recovery. Okay, so everything else is actually the same if you want to do the COC Ice Nova. Alright, so before I begin, right, I just want to say the Google spreadsheet is actually already updated, so do check them out. However, I have not updated the advanced upgrades for this build, so which means after you have completed the normal high budget versions, you know, if you want to upgrade to like Headhunter, Mage Blood, the Forbidden Flame and Flash and other stuffs, I have not updated that. I will do it along the way. Okay, so just to take note of that, the updates are basically below the Google spreadsheet. Okay, so the Trial of the Ancestors has many tattoos. Okay, some really very cool ones. We have like the +1 projectile. I think that's the most hype probably. And then there is, for intelligence, there is like increased effect of curse. Right, I have been playing around and trying to figure out fixing this leaks COC, and I gotta tell you, it's really very difficult. The tattoos are really very confusing. There are a lot of things to scale here and there. Yeah, it really eats up a lot of my farming time. Okay, so I really hope you guys enjoy this build that I've tried to fix like over the past 2 days at the cost of my farming time. Okay, so I will just quickly begin. First of all, you can go to the notes section and read up on my Trial Ancestors update. I have written almost everything that is related or important that you need to know for this league's version high budget COC. Okay, and there are actually quite a few changes. Overall, I would like to say there is about 15 to 20% increase in DPS from the previous version. Okay, and in regards to the tattoos, right? Honestly, the tattoos are not really very great. Okay, the tattoos are not really very great, other than the +30 attribute notes. Alright, those +30 strength, +30 dex, +30 in, they are really good. However, you know, as a cost, right, if you are not scaling towards there, like let's say for my COC build, because we want to use, okay, so basically we want to use this +30 in, okay, where it basically gives you maximum power charges, or you can even use the +1 intelligence spell skill gem, right? But over here, this is the best that I've come up, so we're going to use the +1 power charges. And as you can see, the tree for COC, we don't have any +30 nodes that are nearby. This is literally the nearest I can find. Okay, I've even tried using Impossible Escape, you know, to put it somewhere near, but it's just not worth it. You're gonna use the same points, so might as well just, you know, just branch out. It's just another 4 more points to get this intelligence. Okay, so yep, that being said, this is the first change. This +1 power charges is just too good, okay, because it increases our overall crit, spell damage, crit multiplier, regeneration, so on and so forth. And because of that, our overall base critical strike chance has increased. We can reduce the critical strike chance from other sources and put in more raw damage. Okay, so this is really the big changes. Okay, other than that, for the rest of the dex nodes, okay, unfortunately you will not be putting the +1 projectile tattoos. Okay, if you do not understand how it works, right, okay, so let me right click here. Where is it? Okay, so it's here. No, where is it? Hello. Okay, so it's here. So you see, this is the tattoo. Okay, the tattoo is called Tattoo of the Ramako Makanga. Okay, skills fire additional projectile. However, it requires at least 7 adjacent passive skills to be located. For those of you that do not understand what does this mean, right? Basically, you need to connect all of the nodes around you. There has to be 7. So I'm going to give an example here. So for example, this is 1. Okay, this is an adjacent passive node, passive skills. So this is 1. This is 2. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is what the tattoo means. You require at least 7 adjacent passive skills to be allocated. So because of this, right, I don't even feel that it is worth taking. Okay, because you are sacrificing too much points just for this one. There are a lot of redundant points. Like you can see over here, I have to give up like what, 5 points, right? I have to give up like 5 points just to take this +1 projectile. I think this +5 points I can allocate to other better stuff. Like definitely. Okay, definitely not worth this skill fire additional projectile +1. Okay, and that is why because of this, we are going to use the Tassalio Scout, which is 5% increase effect of marks for the dex nodes, and you can only use 4. Okay, just nice, you can only use 4, so 3 of them will be the marks, and the last one will be a loyalty tattoo, which you can only use 1, limited to 1 skill tree. And this will be trigger summon spirit of Vikyata, oh my god, I don't know how to pronounce this, okay, whatever, skill on critical strike against marked unique enemy. Now, I have no idea how good is this, okay, I just want to say first, because you can only put 1 loyalty tattoo, and this is the only loyalty tattoo that you can trigger on critical strike. So I'm just going to put this here. I do not know how good is this, okay? If it is really garbage, I have not tested it. If it's really garbage, then just change it to another dex, okay? It is not compulsory to use a loyalty tattoo. Okay, and next, right, moving up, the next will be an intelligence tattoo. So the first one is mandatory, okay? This one is mandatory, which is 1% increased reservation efficiency of skills. Okay, now, for this one, we are going to use this, right? And this is mandatory. Why? Because by using this tattoo, we no longer need to use the 2% increased reservation of skills corrupted base jewel. You can remove that right now. Okay, you can remove that right now and just go full retard on the damage modifiers on that jewel. So this is a very, very good addition to the build. Okay, and we only need 1. We do not need 2%. We only need 1. Okay, the next one is the 1% increase effect of non-cursed auras from your skill. Now, this 1%, right, is going to give you the next breakpoint of all of your aura effects. Okay, anything more than this 1%, like you can, yes, you can additional put in like another 1% aura. Okay, but it's not going to help. It's not going to help because it has reached the next breakpoint just by adding this 1%. The next 1% is literally not going to do almost anything at all. So there is really no point to add everything with the non-curse aura from this point onwards. Okay, it's not worth. It's better to put other stuff. I've tested it, I've tried it, so I know. Okay, the next one is the rest of them that you can put. So basically the rest is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 9. Sorry, 9 tattoos. The remaining 9 intelligence tattoos, right, is completely up to you. Okay, my personal choice or recommendation is actually the global defense. Now I know this seems weird, right? But why global defense? The reason is very simple. Because if I were to put this global defense, I can give up some ES nodes for really powerful damage nodes on the skill tree. So what I did was I put global defense and I actually gave up the energy shield over here. The nodes over here. I still have 5000 ES if you see, and I managed to allocate this arcane potency, which gives us a lot of critical damage multiplier. So that is why I have put the global defense instead. Okay, but honestly, if you don't mind giving up ES for more damage, you really just want more damage, then you can replace it with the 5% increase Hera buff. Okay, you can replace all of them with it. Just not the increased effect of non-curse aura. It's really bad from this point onwards. Okay, and the next changes in the skill tree, right, is actually the cluster jewel. Okay, like I said previously, the additional +1 power charges from this node right here is giving us so much additional crit that we no longer need to use a critical cluster to reach 100% crit. Okay, we no longer need that, and because of that, we can now use another projectile cluster, which is the best in slot. Really the best in slot you can find. Because first of all, eye to eye literally just gives us 60% increased damage. That is just crazy good. Okay? You can't find like 1 point of nodes just giving so much damage. The second is repeater, which gives us both projectile damage and attack speed, cast speed, which is also what we need in our build. Okay, and 8% is really a lot. By using this, we can reduce the attack speed on other of our jewels or equipments. Okay, so for a skill tree, that's roughly about it. This is just your main skill tree. Okay, you can have a look at the others. I have listed them down. For Headhunter, okay, Headhunter is basically the same as a level 100, but I just put it, when you change all of the drop down list from skills and items, you can click this as well. It's easier to see. Okay, so I have the Mage Blood, the Soul Drinker, your Forbidden Flame and Flash. So basically, we are going to change the Thread of Hope, remove it, and change to a Forbidden Flame, and take 3 points of here to allocate the Forbidden Flash as well. Okay, so yeah, just take a look at the rest of the skill trees. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the skills now. Alright, I'm gonna go on to the skills section now. So before I proceed with the skills, right, I just want to let you guys know, before any of you guys ask, right, why am I not using the cooldown recovery rate tattoos on the intelligence nodes? Okay, the reason is very simple, because cooldown, where is it? Is it not here? Wait, it should be here though. Ah, there you go. Okay, it's because it is the same as the +1 projectile. You require at least 7 adjacent skills to be allocated. Okay, that is the problem. That is really the problem, because for COC build, right, you really can't afford to waste any of these skill points. The build is already very scarce and hungry for skill points. I wish I could have like another 20 or 10 more skill points, because there are really good stuff that we can add, but we just can't. And because of this, right, it is really not worth to add any other stuff inside here. Okay, it is really not worth. So that's why for the cooldown recovery rate, I don't feel it's very strong. Okay, unless they remove the 7 adjacent requirement, then I will say it's really very good. Okay, otherwise that requirement is too taxing and too much for most of the builds. I think that's why you can see that the cooldown recovery rate tattoo is very cheap. Okay, alright, let's go to the skills. So for the skills, right, what has changed is very simple. I'll go through later on why, but GMP for our 6th link is going to go back to our default, and we're going to use 2120. Okay, we're going to use back the default GMP, because right now our Ice Spear and Cyclone cost 0. Okay, I will explain that later on. But just take note first, this is the new changes. Okay, because it costs 0, this is a very, very significant change for my COC build, right? Because if your main skill costs 0, it literally means I can do no leech and do no mana regen. Okay, like yay, one more remnant that I can do for expedition. Okay, so next is we are no longer going to use determination. Okay, last league I was using determination halfway, and then I really met with some very crazy crucible monsters that determination just really cannot make it. Okay, it really can't make it. It just can't cut it. And once I changed to evasion, right, it just went so smoothly and great. And that was where I realized that actually Grace is really the superior defense layer, the second defensive layer, as compared to armor. So armor really scales well, right? Unless you have really high armor. We're talking about like 50k, 60k, that kind of armor where it mitigates the physical damage. Otherwise, I think evasion is still better because it it just clear cuts gives you a percentage chance to evade every single thing. And you can see here, right, we have 83% chance. That's very, very high. To me, that's very high. Okay, of course, this is with the watcher's eye. But I've taken a look recently at the market. The one with watcher's eye is just goddamn expensive. I have no idea why watcher's eye is so expensive. At this point I'm making the video, I really hope it drops because it's almost nearly double the price as last league. Okay, so not a choice given for watcher's eye. But yeah, the main point is with grace, right, you are going to survive a lot more better. And when you are in a pinch or you are trying to fight a boss that or a rare monster that is very tanky, you cannot clear it within a few seconds, you will need this Val Grace, which actually bumps up your evasion up to 95%. Okay, the chances of you dying to that monster is very highly unlikely not. Okay, during the period of Val Grace. Okay, and the rest of the stuff is the same. Okay, yes, of course. We are no longer going to use determination, right? So please change your cast and damage taken to immortal core. Okay, you don't really need the quality, just buy from vendor and use it. Okay, mark on hit is the same, movement skill, portal. Okay, just nice. All of this is you can socket all of this into your equipment. You don't need an additional unset ring to socket your portal. Okay, and I'm gonna go to the items section next. So for the item section, right, there is a lot of drop down options for you. Of course, the base is Nimis, a Nimis setup. I have removed the default one where you are no longer going to use Nimis. I think you should just use Nimis straight away. Okay, the build it just performs extremely well with Nimis. I think this is I will say this is like a mandatory item if you want to play COC Ice Spear already. Alright, it's just weird without it right now. Alright, oh yes, and for the rest of the skills, you can just select the Nimis plus Headhunter. It's just basically your Awakened COC skill gem at level 6. Alright, so continue on with this. So I'm going to talk about what has changed. Okay, so first of all, okay, this has not changed. Okay, boost has not changed. We are still going to use the cooldown recovery rate and the tailwind because it's impossible to scale cooldown recovery rate tattoos on your skill tree. Okay, so we are still sticking to this. And for your ring, you will need the same attack speed and energy shield ring with dex. No longer need strength, so screw that shit. It's so much easier to scale attribute now with without determination. Okay, belt. So for the belt, right, you can craft it yourself. Just buy a fractured crystal belt with ES. Okay, I think it costs about 1 div, and you can just spam the deafening essence of rage, which gives you strength. Until you get probably flask applied to you has increased effect or chaos resistance. Either one is fine. Okay, either one is fine. And then just make sure you have a suffix and just benchcraft 12% cooldown recovery rate, and you're good to go. Okay, so this is the changes, and the flask is the major changes. Okay, so for the Quicksilver, right, we're gonna use the maximum charges and increase crit strike chance now. Okay, if you basically do not have this flask on, you can see our critical strike chance is 97%, which is still very high. Alright, for the diamond flask, this is the big major changes. Okay, I was very reluctant to use this in all the previous leagues because of how scarce this thing is. Like, I have taken into consideration of scenario whereby what happens when you are fighting a boss where you don't have the flask. Okay, where you don't have the flask, and if you don't have the flask and you don't have this mod, then you are basically screwed, right? Because you don't have enough mana. Correct? That was my biggest and main concern. Okay, but I have tested this and it's actually really very good. It is, I wouldn't say 100% uptime, but I would say more than 90%. Okay, more than 90%, you are always going to proc this flask. Okay, because of the chance to gain flask charge when you do a critical strike. There is a cooldown recovery. I think it's 0.3 or 0.4 seconds per second to actually gain 1 flash charges. So that's why you have 2. Okay, that's why you have 2 flash with this specialist where you gain flash charge when you do a critical strike. Okay, so yes, one of them will be this with the mana cost, and the other one will be a Jade Flask with increased evasion rating. With these two, right, even if you are fighting a boss, you can just continuously spin with no issue. Alright, the last one is a Amethyst Flask. Okay, now this flask has a little bit of debate in me. So the debate is the suffix mod, because now that our Quicksilver Flask is no longer going to use the reduced effect of curse, I am actually wondering if using the reduced effect of curse suffix on the Amethyst Flask or the immunity to bleed is better. So I concluded that using this is much better. So because of this, right, we now no longer have 100% immunity to bleed. And honestly, I have been playing past leagues without immunity to bleed, and I don't really see an issue with it. It's just that I have changed to immunity to bleed last league because a lot of players have been having issue with bleed. Like, you know, you're not responsive enough or you're not attentive enough and you just keep running, and when your ES goes very low, you see a pack of monsters in front and you start to panic and you start to run back and then you die. So that kind of scenario is where people keep complaining to me like, hey, I'm always dying to bleed. Is there a fix to this or whatever? Is there a more friendlier guide to this? Yeah, the immediate effect or the fix is just to put a flask immunity bleeding. Alright, but I think this change is so much better. You really just have to get used to it. When you are bleeding, right, there is 2 things you can do. So number 1 is the easiest, which is just to activate your Vow Discipline. Just activate your Vow Discipline and you can continue spinning, walking, whatsoever. Okay, you might bleed still very, very slowly, but you will not die so fast. The second is, guys, just clear everything around you and stand still. The bleed duration doesn't last forever. It only lasts for like 4 seconds or something like that. Okay, it is not forever. It's not hard to avoid it. Okay, and dying sign is still the same. Okay, so yeah, that's literally about it, the changes. For the rest of the variants, right, the upgraded variants, you can just click in to see. Okay, those with the bracket of the items like Headhunter HH, right, they are the items that you need to change. The rest are all the same. Okay, you can use back every single item that is the same. I am not someone that requires you to change the whole entire build just because you want to play Headhunter, just because you want to play Mage Blood. I think it's very troublesome, it's very annoying, so I don't usually do that. Okay, so same for Mage Blood. However, Mage Blood is Mage Blood because you're going to use like crazy good flasks. Our attack speed is basically changing. Alright, so yep. You gotta change this to Mage Blood and follow the tree. Okay, the one major changes for Mage Blood I can let you know first is this. We are no longer going to take spell, we are going to use attack speed to connect because we have way too much attack speed and this is going to screw up our APS. Alright, so just take note of this. So yeah, the rest also is just, there are changes to it. Okay, there are changes to it. I have no choice because the attack speed is just way too high. You gotta scale it according to your cooldown recovery, right? Okay, so yep, same for your Soul Drinker or your Perfect Crime, whichever that you want. I have only done these 2, I have not done others. If you want the others, you can play around, like sure, fine. I think Perfect Crime is the much better option if you want to change to other Forbidden Flame and Flash. Okay, so wait, why is it not? Oh yeah, my bad. So Perfect Crime. Okay, so you can see it's lighted up. If you want to change to others like Polymath, maybe, I don't know, one step ahead, you gotta just play around with it. And I think the Perfect Crime tree is a better tree to actually adjust. Alright, with that said, like I mentioned just now, the Google spreadsheet has already been updated. So feel free to go and have a look at it. Like I mentioned earlier, the only changes that I have not done is basically the upgrades over here. Okay, I will do it over time. I just have not been trying out the upgrades, and I just want to make sure that the upgrades is workable. Okay, so I am not going to do any of these links first. Alright, everything for the upgrade is at your own risk. Okay, it should be fine. Okay, it should be fine because I've played them before, so I know how it works. I know how it works, and I know what are the requirements for it. So it should be fine. However, guys, give me time to do the the links and the stuff. Okay, I've been working my ass off these 2 days just to fix this high budget. You do not know how annoying and tiring it is just to try every single combination of tattoos on your build, to also ensure that you have enough attribute, have enough attack speed, have enough damage, survivability, and stuff like that. It is very, very, very tiring. Okay, so yes, the last thing I want to let you know is, because I have made Nimi's ring like a mandatory thing, the build prices have actually increased. So actually, honestly, I feel it's just because of Watcher's Eye this league that the build is so goddamn expensive. Okay, so as of now of making this video, it's actually 60 div to play this from scratch. From scratch. If you are playing from the mid budget, it's gonna cost lesser because you have bought other stuff like your Militant Fate, Energy from Within, your Cosprey, Chevrons, all this is gonna cost way lesser. Your Chayula, of course. Okay, so definitely lesser. I would say, I wouldn't say 50% lesser. I would say maybe 60 to 70% lesser. No, sorry. Sorry, 30 to 40% lesser cost. So maybe it might cost you about 35 div to transit into the high budget. Alright, so yup, I hope you guys will enjoy this. Please read my notes first before you actually ask any questions. Alright, if there's anything else, or if you actually seen any error in this, right, because it is very, very confusing, don't mind me. I might have made a little bit of mistakes here and there in the POB. Okay, so just do let me know in my Discord. Right, or you can leave it in the comments, but usually I hardly read the comments unless I'm uploading a video. Alright, I hope you guys will enjoy spinning. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.